A founding member of the Southland Conference, the Lamar Cardinals left the league last season, but they are back for 2022. Head coach Blane Morgan entering his third season with a squad that is entirely his recruits. The Cardinals enter 2022 looking for their first winning campaign since 2018, their third since the reboot in 2010. They're going to have a quarterback competition, plenty of talent on the offensive and defensive side of the ball as they make their return to the Southland. We're thrilled to have head coach Blane Morgan here with us, along with a wide receiver and Jalen Dummett, moving over from quarterback, we should say, and Jack McCarthy, a defensive lineman as well. It's great to have you guys here. Great to have you back in the Southland. What are you most excited about, Coach, making the return here at the conference?
I think just the proximity and our fans knowing who we're playing week in, week out, and having the ability to go travel, to come over to Lake Charles, last game of the season, to drive over to Natchitoches for our first conference game. I think it creates more buzz and excitement. Being a founding member of the conference, I think it's a pretty natural place for us to be and to come back to.
For it being the second year in a row making a conference shift, does that alter things at all? Does it make it difficult at all from a philosophy standpoint, or things are pretty much still the same?
Our life's been wacky. The last two.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's been off the wall. Let's rewind the last 24 months, and you've got COVID, and you've got hurricanes, and you've got freezes, and so just a sense of normal life. There's been none of that, and so what our guys have learned to do is adjust. As our schedule has changed on a daily basis during COVID, I think our guys have learned to adjust, and it's become normal. So it'll be nice to hopefully get back to a conference and have some kind of of normal schedule and routine and conference schedule, and have rivalries and those things.
Jack, I'll go to you here. You're a sophomore. I know you've obviously played a couple years of college football, but to play in two different conferences as a young guy, that's got to be difficult. What's it like for you to now be in the Southland?
I'm excited. Got to play my first year in the Southland. Got 6 games under my belt. I was a young freshman, probably shouldn't have played, but got thrown into it because of COVID. I'm glad to make it back to it, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be good for the team.
Jalen, for you, what have things been like for the offense? You moved now from playing a quarterback spot as a dual threat guy over to receiver. What's that been like? And the offense as a whole, tell us about it.
I feel like it's been a journey, and I feel like that's always been with me, going JUCO too, so I feel like I'm able to just adapt. But we have tools to be a real good offense, so I feel like us working and going into the summer and more into the fall, just having us just grinding out and just staying on top of things.
You talk about adapting. What are the biggest things you've learned over the course of your journey? You mentioned the JUCO to start, and now shifting positions over the early part of your college career.
I feel like that's a lot of just uncertainty that comes with that, because you'll never know what happens next. So I feel like that's pretty good, especially what goes on in today's world. Just whatever happens, you just have to be able to cope with it and just go forward with your day and stuff.
We started off talking about your team in the conference as a whole, Coach. From a personal standpoint, the Lamar Cardinals this coming season, what can we expect on both sides?
Yeah, I think certainly we'll be a year older, and so last fall we started 5 freshmen on our offensive line, eligibility wise, and so this will really be the first off season that we've had since our coaching staff and our players have been on campus, and so what we've been able to see is just a growth maturity wise, and our guys get stronger and faster and have time to come together as a team, and so I think that's probably the best thing is having an off season now. I think everybody will see just a more mature team, a team when we walk out there that hopefully looks more like a college football team than a high school football team, and that's more competitive. Get games into fourth quarters and be competitive, week in, week out, and be able to get to the fourth quarter and win some of those games.
Was just talking with Brad Laird at Northwestern State before, and we know that the pedigree he has as a quarterback, same goes for you and the career you had. From a quarterback perspective, obviously Jalen was thrown into the fire a little bit in terms of the COVID spring and him shifting to quarterback. Now he moves to receiver. from a quarterback standpoint, seems like you have a couple different guys in the mix right now. Take us through that room and what it's looking like from a talent perspective.
Yeah, you've got Mike Chandler who got to play in 3 games last year before being injured. You've got Dalen Williams. Those are the 2 guys that have played the position. Dalen Williams started the last 4 games of the season as a true freshman, so he really got thrown into the fire. And then you've got Gino and transfer from we call him Gino, but he transferred from UTEP, and it's going to be a tight battle. So you've got 3 guys, and throw a 4th into a mix. I think it'll be an exciting battle come fall camp.
What does it do for your offense having Jalen out receiver?
It changes the receiver room because he's the hardest working, hardest practicing player on our team, and so it sets that room up for success. It gives young guys a chance to see a great example of what it's like to day in, day out go at it and work hard. And so he's just, he doesn't say a whole lot, but he comes to work every day, and he sets the example for how you work on the football field.
You don't have to say a lot, but say a little. What's the transition been like, quarterback to wide receiver?
I feel like it's been fun. I feel like it's another way for me to utilize my skill set. So me be able to make plays out in open space, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to be able to do that out there. And I feel like just a whole lot of running too. Just day in, day out, more practice time, but I feel like it's been a good experience for me.
Are there aspects of playing quarterback that you think translate or at least maybe help you a little bit in the evolution of becoming a wide receiver just because of how big the playbook is and how much is on your shoulders as a quarterback?
I feel like it helped a lot because now at receiver I know what route everybody has. So for me to be able to just go any position on the field and just be able to run anything, I feel like that helped a lot, me being quarterback and moving over. So
Jack, let me ask you defensively. Again, you're only a sophomore. You guys lose a lot of starters from last year. It's going to be a pretty new group, some new coaches. Take us through defensively what things are looking like and what you're most looking forward to playing with this group.
I think it's just like what Coach said. We have, we had another year to grow. We have 2 starters on the D-line that returned. Both our linebackers returned. A lot of our DBs returned. So I think as a unit, we've had a lot of time together and really got to build together. Coach Weichert has really taken it on his shoulders to help us understand the playbook and understand other offenses. And I think we're just going to play a lot smarter ball this year.
From a defensive perspective, similar question for you, Coach. In terms of playmakers, guys who impressed you so far, anyone who's caught your eye and stuck out so far?
Yeah, I think as a group, you look at our linebackers, we've got quite a few guys that have played and really came on towards the end of the season. A player like Tyler Jackson and, Adrian Owens, we call him AJ. But those 2 guys in particular, when they come out to practice, they know how to take care of business. They know how to work hard, and they're playmakers. And so those 2 guys in spring ball and throughout the offseason have done a good job of just improving, and they go at it and they love football. And so, that position I would highlight right now. But as we get into fall camp, we'll see. I expect there to be a lot of surprises and a lot of guys that emerge that maybe our fans don't know about that'll really get highlighted in fall camp and coming through the season.
Do you take things from your first stint in the Southland that you now apply this go around second time?
Yeah, I think you'll have a lot of the same. A few of the common coaches and opponents. Mm-hmm. So schematically, there'll be some similarities. Now, we don't play some of those teams until the middle part of the season, but yeah, I mean there'll be a familiarity with some of the opponents, and then you'll have a couple of opponents where there's a new staff. Incarnate Word with Coach Kenny and McNeese, and so, but we play those teams towards the back half of the season, and so I'm looking forward to really for these guys, just more than anything else, just the travel alone, just being able to drive to, and our fans being able to come out and watch us play.
I was reading about your recruiting class a little bit and just how many high school guys you have coming in and the different kind of personnel that you brought in. What excites you most about that recruiting class you bring in?
Wow, that's a good question. And when you sign, what we've done is here the last 3 recruiting classes, we've almost maxed out our 30, and we've signed in the upwards of 20-something players. And we've gotten those kids onto campus this last month, and these guys would probably be able to tell you as good as I would, but we've got a couple prospects that have already stood out. But you don't want to talk about those guys too early. They haven't put on pads. They haven't taken a snap. They haven't gone to class, and so they're all prospects until they're able, when the lights come on, step on the field and make some plays.
Jalen, tell me about the receiver crew as a group. What you're seeing so far. Any guys who've stuck out to you?
Just from our spring, we had a lot of guys that were already in the room that kind of played during the season a little bit. Fresh room, new room, really. But I'll say like Savon Ray, new guy that we got, Cam George, just big names. They work hard day in, day out. So I feel like those guys stood out to me a lot. So there'll be something to watch from them too.
And Jack, we talked about you being one of the few returning guys coming back. You mentioned you do have a starter who returns, but to bring in so many new players, have to acclimate them. What's the process of going about that? How do you think you can help do that?
I think it's just showing them a good example of what we expect from our guys here at Lamar. We want to be working. We want to work hard, put our nose down, and we have a lot of like room to grow, and we've had a lot of room to grow over these last 2 years, and I think we're taking the right steps. And if you just show them a good picture of what it's supposed to look like, I think they're going to come along.
For you personally, 14 starts in your couple of years. Last year, 30 tackles, 3 breakups. Where can you evolve and get better on the defensive end?
Pass rush, for sure. I think that's what I've been working on most this whole summer. Me and a couple D linemen have been going out there since we got back and just working on starts. Coach Warkett's been helping me understand the pass rush lanes a little bit better, and I think I'm just going to, like I said before, come back like just a smarter football player.
I imagine, and again, you're a quarterback coach, but I imagine that piece of it in this conference is so crucial because the quarterbacks, year in, year out, it's unbelievable. It truly has become an FBS caliber level of quarterback with how many guys now are signing deals and making moves to the other FBS schools and just generally becoming All-Americans in this conference, the quarterback spot.
Yeah, and that's, you look throughout college football, the guys, the teams that, statistically, the teams that play good defense and stop the run on defense, and on offense, they get really excellent quarterback play, and there's a lot of people involved in that. But as a rule of thumb, the quarterback, that if you don't have a guy that you're getting a high level of play there, then you're going to have a hard time winning games.
We'll open it up for Q&A as well now. If you've a question, raise your hand. We'll try to get to you. Yeah, we're going in the back. Just state your name and affiliation.
All right, Coach Ashley Elam, KVMT Beaumont. Until the last minute, we were looking at another conference. The preseason team comes out, not a single Cardinal on it. You're picked next to last. Is that kind of what you were expecting?
No. Well, I think this just happened a few days ago, and so I think what happens is with the expectations being out of a conference last year, I think there's no familiarity with our players from anyone in the conference. And so I think as much as anything, that's the case. I wasn't familiar with many of the other, the other conference, Southland Conference players or teams. And so I was just, in the preseason, poll, I was just kind of throwing darts blindly. And so they were probably doing the same thing. Having started so many young guys last fall, there's no familiarity with our guys, and we've got a lot to prove. I mean, as a team, from a coaching staff to players, I think we've got a lot to prove as a football program.
Yeah, we got one right here.
Harold Mann, KLVI Radio, Lamar Radio again, and we're excited to be back in the Southland Conference. Coach, you kind of mentioned this a little bit. It's been crazy. It's been a roller coaster over the past couple of years. How much of an advantage, benefit is this going to help you? This is actually your first spring you've been able to work a full schedule.
It's everything. I mean, when we came to Lamar as a staff, we decided we're going to be a developmental program. We're not going to be a transfer portal transfer program. Now that's a tough decision because that's the slow road. And so not having an off season is hard to develop. So now that we've had an off season, we've strung a couple very good and talented recruiting classes to add to these guys. It's exciting, especially getting this next recruiting class here on campus. It's just the future is going to be bright with Cardinal football. And so just the off season was the first step in that process.
Harold, good to have you back in the conference. Another radio guy. And anyone else?
Jack, we had one from Rob Butler on Twitter who said, does it excite you from a competitive standpoint to be playing two FBS opponents this season, especially SMU and DFW players being on the roster?
Yeah, let's let the guys answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I think those games, there's not a lot of stress on our shoulders because there's not a lot of expectations from us, but that's really to your advantage. You get to go have fun, play a little loose, and get to, have a chance to play on a bigger stage. It's always fun.
So, selfishly for me, I grew up my later years, junior high and high school in DFW. So whenever you get a chance to go back and play in the area you grew up, that is something special. And then our right and left tackle and our center are all from the Metroplex. And so that was part of really our first couple recruiting classes, but it's fun for those guys. They want to go. They didn't get recruited. Not many of our guys got recruited by those programs, and so there's always, when you go play one of those games, there's always a little bit of a chip on your shoulder going up there and playing.
Coach Matt Fay, Beaumont Enterprise. You mentioned the developmental aspect of it and the bright future that you guys kind of expect, but as far as results on the field this year, kind of how would you define success when it comes to, like I said, results this season?
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to be really hard to define because of the, throughout a football program, there's so many intricate parts and pieces that matter. The health of your team along the way, and so that's a hard question to answer sometimes. Sometimes I've been a part of teams where, you've won 10 games and you feel like it's not a success, and, you're a part of a team that, maybe wins 5 or 6 and, you've overachieved a little bit. And so that's really hard at this point and stage before really knowing the progress that we've made, because we finished spring ball in March and we're starting in August. So there's been a huge window of off season. And so until you get on the field in practice, we're not going to really know what we are going to be as a team. We may not know after the first couple games, but that's a tough one. It's a good question, but it's hard for a coach to be able to define success right now as far as the number of wins and losses. Tough.
Jim Gazzolo, American Press. How do you think in the future, going back to this league, will your recruiting be able to change because more parents will be able to see their kids play? Will you be recruiting differently, or will it still be kind of the same, but you'll have something else to sell?
We recognized, as a staff very early on that we wanted to, because we're so close in proximity to Louisiana, that we were gonna recruit Louisiana from the outset. Our secondary coach is from New Orleans. We've got four different coaches recruiting different areas of this state, and so we're drawing a circle of probably a 3-hour circle from our campus, and the majority of our recruits are going to come within that circle. And so in Louisiana, there being so many schools, in this conference, hopefully that will draw more kids. That's always something that's hard to know what brings a kid, but knowing that his parents, will be able to come to games in Louisiana, a kid from New Orleans that, can play in Hammond or, drive down to Thibodeau, maybe that would sway their decision.
You got someone scouting in the Bay Area also to get Jalen over here?
Well, yeah, that was Jalen was one of our first signees. We showed up on campus in 2020 with approximately 0 quarterbacks on our campus. So he was our first quarterback recruit. it's a good story.
I wanted to ask you too. I know your dad Barry coached you in high school. Trinity Christian, it was, right? What were the biggest lessons, I guess, over the years, and just kind of the biggest takeaways that you have as now you go on your third year here?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to play for a guy like my dad who he was very, very competitive, but he always did things the right way, and he was so good at being a coach on the field and then coming home and being a dad. And so that's such a great example, for me, and then coming home to my kids and being a good dad and not being a coach. And then, I've been so fortunate, and I'm so grateful for the men that I've gotten to play for. Fisher to Barry, who's in the College Football Hall of Fame, and Rocky Long and Troy Calhoun, just really some pretty legendary guys that did things. Each had their own way of doing things, but I've kind of tried to draw a piece from each one of those coaches and add that, to the way we do things, and whether it's a team meeting or the way we run practice or, things we do with our players. I really lean on my coaching staff and their experience for how they've done things in the past as well.
What's the biggest thing you've learned about, I don't know if tempering expectation is the right word, but being able to handle the growing pains that come with starting up a program and really trying to rebuild and get to a level of winning championships?
I'm not sure there's anything that could have prepared me for the challenges we faced in the last 24 months. Honestly, they've been fairly extreme, but just really trying to have unwavering faith. That's a huge part of it for us, and just belief that we're moving in the right direction, we're doing things the right way, and it's just a matter of coming to work, coming to the office every day, and trying to be consistent and get just a small step better each and every day. And it sounds like coach speak or something, but that's how you get better. Is you just you get a little bit better each and every day. And then the same thing with a football season. You'll get into a season, you'll get into a game, and you get into the fourth quarter, and then as a team, you got to learn how to finish that game. And then when you can do that and you start to gain some confidence as a team, that's when you start winning and moving in the right direction as a program. And I've seen it happen. Our first time with Troy Calhoun at Air Force, we went to Salt Lake, and we beat Utah and probably shouldn't have beaten them in Salt Lake. And it really, just pushed that team to be very confident, and give us a confidence towards winning.
To both of you, we were talking earlier about the non-conference schedule, having a couple of, obviously, DFE games, but just kind of the process that you both want to go through with the team to get yourselves ready for week one during training camp, things you think have to happen, just the little things the coach preaches to become a winning culture.
I think it's just really simple, honestly, coming every day and showing up and giving your all at practice. Really getting into the playbook, I think, is important, and making sure you know everything, and film study. Coach Weichert, the defense coordinator, he's really instilled it in us to get in there and watch film, and I think those are the steps we've been taking as a team to really take everything to the next level.
Yeah, I think it's more just every day having that same seriousness with it, and day in, day out, never just, I'm going to take this off. No, it's 100% every time, and I feel like our quarterback coach, Coach Jackson Skirker, he preaches that a lot. Just, you got to be serious with it every day because you never know what could happen. So just, if we come with that serious 100% every day mindset, it could be some big things that could happen in Beaumont.
What's something we either don't know about these guys or don't know about your program that we should?
That's a good question. I'll have to
save the tough one.
Yeah, the tough one. Put me on the spot. These guys can speak up. Jack, 4.0 student last semester. Pretty cool, that you can be a great football player and a great student along the way. And Jalen's done really well in the club. He's gone upwards, and you graduated, correct? So Jalen's a graduate. He's a college graduate has his degree from Lamar University. So I think those guys representing, they're two of our best players, but they're also college graduate, 4.0 student. And that's kind of all of our guys aren't going to be great scholar athletes, and we understand that. But we're going to recruit great recruit great guys that the Golden Triangle and the community of Beaumont can be proud of. And I think going forward, you start winning, and we've tried to insert our team throughout the community. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think Lamar grads have got a lot to be proud of with these guys and the rest of our team, and I'm looking forward to just the growth. I mean, it's exciting. You're climbing a mountain and you can start to look up and you can see that you're making a little bit of progress. So that's why you coach, to see these guys grow and mature, and it's exciting as a coach and as our with our staff. And I think the community, the alums, everyone associated with Lamar University should, they're going to start to see it and see improvement throughout the season.
Well, hey, appreciate all you guys. Best of luck with camp and getting ready for September 1 against Abilene Christian.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
those are the Lamar Cardinals. We've got McNeese to finish things off, the hosts in their first home game of the season here. Hosting media today, we'll have Gary Goff, new head coach Mason Pierce, C.J. Simeon will join us shortly after this as we roll along, and our final segment of Southland Media Day on the way.